Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming on the webinar, 3 Reasons You're Sabotaging Your Relationships and How to Deal with Your Personality Differences. My name is Eileen Head, the Relationship Whisperer. I'm super excited to be on the webinar with you. I am the creator of the Get Love the Way You Need online relationship program, where you can transform to be the best version of yourself and get love the way you need. I also have coaching programs for couple dynamics, stay or go coaching, and singles to be date and relationship ready. I use a very unique approach and holistic approach to relationships. At the end of the webinar, if you stick around, I will answer any questions you might have. All right, 3 reasons you're sabotaging your relationships. So I'm going to ask you to please turn off your Facebook, your phone, your log out of your emails. This is a very important 60 minutes. It could absolutely change your life. I do believe it is life-changing. I'm just going to close out of some of my other stuff. It really is life-changing, and it was for me. So think about it. Invest 60 minutes to change your life forever. Whether you are in a couple relationship, whether you're single, whether you're going through a divorce, this information will be valuable for you. You may have taken other courses about relationships. However, learning your personality pattern differences with other people is hugely dynamic, and it's very specific. You may have a pretty good relationship already, but there are always personality differences that cause frustration and disconnection at times, right? Clear communication is invaluable. If you're single, before you are date and relationship ready, you need to learn what makes you a good partner, the patterns that might be sabotaging you, and how to know which personality will be most compatible for you and will make you the happiest. And if you are in the divorce process, it is vital that you understand your 2 personality dynamic, especially if you have kids together. This partner will be in your life forever, and the gift you can give to your kids is to make the situation as amicable as possible. It's important that you figure out what happened so that you can forgive yourself and attract a happier relationship. Wherever you are, this training is the right webinar for you to be on and to answer any questions you have about relationships. Relationships can be confusing. And often people believe there is no easy way to figure them out, but there really is. And it doesn't matter whether it's with a partner, a boss and coworker, parents, siblings, children, friends, or even an ex-partner. They can be confusing and need work. The question is, everyone struggles with this. And they struggle with, why is it that it makes sense to us and not to them? This can be very stressful until you figure it out. When relationships are stressful, we don't know what's not working, why it's not working, or how to change it. And that is what keeps you stuck in the stress and disconnection. The number 1 reason relationships fail is we are unaware of our negative personality patterns that are sabotaging us and our impact on others. We need to do a better job of managing our own patterns and understanding others so we can relate and communicate. Here's some facts for you. 2/3 of what couples fight about are individual personality perspective differences and are irreconcilable unless you understand your personality couple dynamics. But you really can figure it out. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out our partner. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Do they have feelings? And why is it that the way they're reacting makes sense to them and not to us? And if we're really truthful, we spend a lot of time attempting to figure ourselves out as well. We search for ourselves by how others react to us, and we look for validation in our relationships. But everyone reacts differently to us depending on our personality perception. And that can be confusing. We can be doing exactly the same thing, and yet one person will react positively to us and another person will react negatively. What were your dreams when you first met your partner? How many of them have come true? Is your relationship as you had pictured it would be? Or maybe with life's busyness, you aren't as close as you used to be or want to be. And so often we say to ourselves, is this all there is? And does the pain of that leave you feeling empty or fill you with sadness? And if you feel this way, you probably didn't sign up for a flat, confusing, or frustrating relationship, right? But sometimes that is what happens. We feel our partner just doesn't get us or understands what matters to us or why. And sometimes we don't even understand what's important to us, but we get upset when we feel our needs are not being met. How many of these statements do you relate to? I'm not the problem, my partner is. What they're doing makes no sense to me. Why does my partner continue to hurt me? Do you feel not good enough or not enough to be their partner? Do you walk on eggshells and are afraid to speak up? What if this is all there is and nothing changes? How do we communicate so we can resolve issues, especially when we want to get our needs met at the same time? How many of these have been holding you back? There's 3 reasons you sabotage your relationships. You don't understand what your partner needs to feel loved. Each of you have different perspectives of the world, different values, different life experiences, and you have different emotional needs. And until you delve into your personality, you won't know this. People who've had some failed relationships or are struggling in a current one often tell me, I need to figure myself out before I get into another relationship. Number 2, you are unaware of your negative personality patterns. See, our patterns seem natural to us. However, we have healthy patterns and unhealthy patterns which affect our partner and all our relationships. And until we recognize our impact and what we're doing, we are unable to change the situation we're in. The third one is you don't understand your couple dynamics, your personality couple dynamics. See, relationships can be a great foundation for us. And they can be a place where we can lose our identity and our independence. They can also be an opportunity for growth. One of our greatest opportunities for growth is in discovering ourselves in these relationships. Are we being our best self? Are we behaving in the best way? What does that look like? There are many values and boundaries that will need to be negotiated and lovingly adhered to form the trust that you are valued, appreciated, and accepted for who you are. And understanding your 2 couple dynamics and your personalities and what each of you fundamentally need is vital in order to communicate and navigate your differences. When you are confident in who you are more open to embrace your partner's different personality perspectives. And that can really enhance your life and experiences. When you bring in different values, different ways of seeing the world, different things you enjoy, that if you're open to it, it can really create more juice in your life. Here's some relationship busting myths. Everyone has the same values and needs that I do. Integrity is a finite thing. I was really surprised about this when I started understanding the personalities and realizing that different personalities look at integrity different. The 2 supporter may break integrity rules to help someone. The 8 asserter may break rules because it's my way or the highway. Or the 3 achiever might break some rules in order to make a win or be successful. All personalities have their own definition of integrity. Here's another one. Everyone should think and react the way I do. And here's a big one, especially for women. If my partner loved me, they'd know what it is that I need. Another myth. People find relationships confusing and believe there's no easy way to figure them out. Here is the first gift that I'm going to be sending to you. And it is the 5 steps to creating a conscious, connected relationship. This is an ebook. In the email, you just click on the link and it will download into your download folder. And if you stick around, I'm going to be giving you some more gifts that are really valuable in your relationships. So I'd like to give you a bit of background about my journey, who I am and how I learned the Enneagram personalities and created the Get Love program. In my family of origin, I often felt like we were individual planets, rotating around each other, all lost in our own little worlds. Did you feel that? Can you see how different each of these are? So depending on the number of people in your family, and sometimes in families, there's some same personalities. My mom and I were the same personality. But often there's a number of different personality types. So how to get along and how to understand each other and how to relate to each other can be a real challenge. I am the youngest and the only girl, and I have 3 older brothers. There's 3 years between each of us, so there's 9 years between my oldest brother and I. And we grew up on a farm, and the boys were responsible for these chores, and often they didn't want a younger sibling, much less a girl, tagging along behind them and being responsible for when they had all these jobs to do. And they all ended up going to school, and it was 3 years where I was home with my parents. And my parents had patterns of passive aggressiveness. There were days of silences where they wouldn't talk to each other. And that was absolutely painful. You know, those times when everybody's prickly and you can just sense the tension. There were a lot of days. My parents did not know how to communicate, and I could feel my mother's unhappiness. And so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, why are they interacting like that? Or how can I interact with them? Or how can I make it better for them? What was your childhood like? Because in that childhood and with your family dynamics, there is the keys and foundations to understanding yourself. I met my husband when I was 16, and I thought he was my Prince Charming and we would be married forever. Finally, someone just for me. That picture was taken on my grade 12 graduation. I was 18 years old and married 3 months later. Small town, that's what you did. You just got married after high school. Pretty impressive hairstyle, right? It was called the haystack, and I'm only 5 feet tall, so that gave me a few more inches of height. Most of all, I wanted to create a close, connected relationship and for him to be my best friend. I expected that he would accept me for who I am, support me through my challenges, but it wasn't like that. We were married for 35 years, and in all that time, I just kept thinking, we're going to figure this out. What was so confusing is that we were both great people. But I always felt this disconnection between us that was prevalent throughout our relationship. And when I would ask him what was wrong that was creating the distance or withdrawal, he would say, nothing. Both our families had that pattern of clearly being upset and becoming silent, sometimes for days. And that left me feeling uncertain of myself, not enough, not good enough. And there was always a lot of tension in the relationship. Have you experienced this in yours? And I couldn't figure out why there seemed to be like a glass wall between us. I could see him, but I wasn't able to connect or engage with him, at least not in a way that I needed. Whatever I seemed to try shut him down and turned him into a silent partner. He was a complete mystery to me, and I'm pretty sure that I was to him too. So I'd often go to bed at night reliving in my mind, what had I said that caused us to have this distance between us? Have you ever done that? Gone to bed, going over the same situation in your head, trying to figure it out, make it better. You have the same information. You keep going round and round. What did I say? How could I have said it differently? Should I have not said it at all? That's the definition of insanity, right? Same information going round and round and expecting a different outcome. I just couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing. And with his personality, he was quiet, shy, didn't give me much feedback, so I was just flailing. And I'd see other couples, and they looked to be so happy, and I'd look at them and I'd go, what's their secret? How come they can figure that out? They look happy, relaxed, comfortable with each other. I even wrote a book about it. Why can't I figure us out? So I searched for answers everywhere. I read stacks of self-help books. I took workshops. I even read marriage manuals. And while these gave some insights to myself, it did not give the answers to the disconnection, nor how to engage my husband. And I yearned for more. I yearned to figure that out, to feel accepted, to feel appreciated, to feel loved, where I felt safe enough to talk about my feelings. And I wanted him to share with me too what he needed. But it was difficult. I didn't get any information from him. Throughout marriage, I often felt not enough, not good enough, powerless to change the situation, lonely, and chronically unhappy. And that caused a lot of stress in my relationship. I was crying all the time. There'd be different peaks and valleys, and it would get more intense, and then it would sort of back off as relationships do. But when it got really bad, I'd be in the grocery store and I'd be crying. I'd be driving home crying so hard. And then I started to get some funky medical reports. And I began to realize there was dis-ease in my body. And that if I didn't start making some other decisions, there was going to be disease in my body. So what happens when we can't figure it out? We feel unappreciated, unloved. They just don't get us. We don't feel accepted for who we are and what we bring to the relationship. And it affects our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our self-worth. And we start to react by justifying our own actions. And we become righteous about what we're doing, blaming them. Well, I'm doing everything I can. It's their fault. If only they would. And if they would do this, and if they would do that, I would be happy. Oops, sorry about that. Hang on. And when we cannot resolve it, and it gets too painful, we give up. And this is when relationships end. Through the years, I felt very much a victim, and I felt very powerless to change him because my focus was on changing him. And I had no idea on my impact on him or what my personalities might be affecting him, because I was sure I was doing everything right. Have you been there? Life's all about choices. I could stay being continually unhappy with the hope that things would change and we would find a way to connect and communicate. I could stay in misery and victimhood, it's all his fault. Or I could make choices for myself, because life is all about choices. See, at the time, I didn't realize that my husband didn't know what I needed in order to feel loved, because I didn't know what I needed. And we were both stuck in our negative personality patterns. And when you've been married for a long time, no one really wants to throw in the towel. But I came to believe that things would never change, and so I decided to leave. and I needed to leave him for me. It was one of the first times that I started making decisions for my own self. And at the 11th hour, my husband came to me and said, okay, let's go to a relationship course. And I was like, now? Like, I'm done. I told him I want to leave. And he says, well, let's try one last thing. And so I looked and looked for a relationship course, and the only one I could find had the Enneagram personalities in it. And so when they gave us the personality assessment and then the profile, I read my own profile, and it was like reading my own biography. All the great things about me, I like those, the strengths, the traits, and what people value in me. See, that's what we're all looking for. We plug into all our relationships and we're looking unconsciously, we're looking for, do you value me? Do you value me? Do you appreciate me for what I have to give? That's my value in the world. But the confusing thing is, some value you for what you're doing and some don't. And then I read these other things over here called challenges, and they stung a bit when I read them. But I also knew that there was truth in them. And when I read them, and the uniqueness about the Enneagram is that it shows you how to change your patterns, I was so excited. Finally, I had something I could work on. I had a outside perspective of myself and my impact on others. And then I read my husband's profile, and I knew more about him, myself, and our relationship in about 35 minutes than in all those 35 years that we'd lived together. See, I knew there were answers somewhere. But I'd already made the choice. I didn't believe he was going to engage, and he didn't engage in it. And so that's where I came to the belief that nothing was going to change. He, like me, wanted me to change. And that's where we get stuck in our relationships. For those of you who've gone through the divorce process, and if you are the one leaving, you've already spent a lot of time dealing with the emotions of leaving before you walk out the door. And I was no longer willing to put in any more time for a flat and unloving relationship, or even trying to make it work. And so I was at a crossroads. I could spiral downhill like some people do and go into years of misery, bitterness, victimhood, blaming him for my relationship not working out. Or I could make a choice and take the tools that I was learning with this modality called the Enneagram personalities and do something different in my life. And knew that there were things that I could do. I invested in myself, my relationships, and my life. And so what I chose to do was to learn, to develop, heal. And the wounds started to heal for me slowly. And I started to understand what had happened with us. But most importantly for myself, the confusion that I always felt about why are we not connecting? What do I need to do? What do I need? What do I want? Those were things I'd never delved deep in. And I was able to help my sons and even my ex-husband as we worked through this difficult time. Had we found it sooner, might have saved our marriage. I don't know. But I do know it would have given me more insights for me, and that would have helped me boost my confidence in knowing that I was okay. And so I was super excited. I was lit up. I immediately began to take my training and certification to become an Enneagram teacher. And this valuable tool was not lost on me. And I knew I'd been searching for these answers, so many other people must also be searching for these answers. And so I spent thousands of dollars in training and become certified. And throughout the years, I'd never found anything so detailed, so complex, so rich to learn and use and enrich my life. So here's just a little bit about what I want to share with you. What I learned was I'm a 2 supporter personality and my ex-husband is a 9 peace seeker. What that means is I needed a closer connection, and I intensely attempted to engage him, which felt controlling to him. So he would withdraw and exert his independence in order to maintain his identity. I felt rejected with his withdrawal. And for my personality, that feels devastating, especially when all the energy was focused on him and our relationship. For him, my personality patterns were too intrusive, and he did everything he did to avoid conflict, which he believed keeping silent would do, which is a personality trait for the 9 peace seekers. See, my intensity felt controlling to him. To me, I was just intense because I wanted this connection. Let's connect, let's get close, let's love. For him, it was too much. But speaking up, the unconscious belief of the 9 peace seeker is, if I speak up, it's going to cause conflict. So I will just keep quiet. Can you imagine that this is what it was all about for those 35 years? That's the dance we did for 35 years. Unconscious, unaware. And because of the inability for both of our 2 personalities to articulate clearly, many of the challenges of the supporter-peace-seeker relationship are hidden below the surface, adding to the confusion. We both would shut down. Both believe they are giving up what they want for the other. They are dismayed, frustrated, feeling unloved, with no idea what the other one needs, or to collaborate and communicate to create a loving relationship. They are stuck in unconscious response patterns developed in childhood. Only awareness of their personality patterns can resolve to create this connection. See, we all have a response ability. We have the ability to change our responses when we become aware. And the Enneagram gave me clarity about myself and this relationship. As I continued to research, I found that there's lots of specific information on the Enneagram about Enneagram personalities and profiles, but there wasn't much information on couple dynamics and relationships. The ripple effect. One small change can have an enormous impact in the world and those around you. My vision is that as each person becomes the best person they can be, they can become better partners, parents, bosses, co-workers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters. And this will change the world and relationships. It will reduce stress, create more connected, loving relationships. So what are personalities? Personalities are just patterns of behavior. When you recognize the pattern, you will understand the personality and be able to relate to the person. And this creates compassion and assists you in solving conflicts and creates connection. Knowing your personality will give you a clearer structure of who am I and what is my value in the world. So what is this crazy name, Enneagram? Some people either go, oh, the Enneagram, I absolutely love it. It was life-changing for me. Or they go, the Ennea what? Enne in Greek means 9, and gram means circle. And the circle is a universal symbol of unity and wholeness. And even though you may have never heard of it before, this personality system has been changing lives since the 1700s. It's a well-respected model, world-renowned, used both personally and professionally. It's taught in university, therapists use it, coaches use it, religions use it, even the FBI for profiling. The Enneagram is an ancient body of wisdom that holds the key to true unlocking to the depth of our being and other people in a kind and compassionate way. It simplifies our lives by helping us to understand why we do what we do. It is an awareness map of consciousness that illuminates 9 ways of being in the world and gives deep insight into 9 fundamentally different personality perspectives, each with their own way of seeing the world, their own attitudes, ways of thinking, reacting, and behaving. Learning your personality will transform the way you feel about yourself. So your personality is formed by the age of 7 in childhood. And you can see the different ones. Here's the one perfecter. They always want it to be good, so they're looking out there. I'm being good. I'm right? I'm doing good. I'm focusing on details. And the 2 supporter feels that they need to look after other people. They need to nurture and care for other people. The 3 achievers like to be in the spotlight. The 4 achiever expressor child can be very dramatic and emotional. The 5 contemplators are the little bookworms. They're introverts. The 6 questioner are the fear-based children. They really have a lot of anxiety. 7 optimist are children. Oh, they like to have fun. They like to play. The 8 asserter child, a very strong-willed child. And the peace-seeking child, often very shy. Which one of these were you? So the personality is formed by age of 7 in your family of origin, and formed the unconscious belief that you needed to be a certain way and play a certain role to get the most love and attention. And this became the structure of your personality and how you identify yourself. Whether you realize it or not, you're often run by that 7-year-old child inside of you, especially your undeveloped parts. And boy, don't those parts come out when you're driving or someone gets in line in front of you. Personality was formed as a survival technique. You formed unconscious patterns, which became traits, roles. The roles became personalities, and that's how you identified with yourself. Here's the second gift that I'm going to give to you. I'm going to be sending you in that email a downloadable document on each of the personality types, their partner style, what gifts they bring, and what challenges they bring. And this is going to give you a lot of insights for all the people in your relationships. So it's going to be downloadable. That's gift number 2. So here's a little description about each of the personalities. So the 1 perfectors are the most structured of the 9 types. They focus on details, they're organized, they're meticulous, they're very detail-oriented, they're very fair, they keep promises, high in integrity, strong values, live a principled life. But they also have high expectations and very rigid rules. The 2 supporters, they're the most focused on love and relationships of all the types. They are nurturing, helping, and supporting to connect. They're caring, sensitive, intuitively sees and meets the needs of others, and they can be intrusive with their helping and needy. The 3 achiever, they are the most focused on work, achieving, succeeding, and gaining accomplishments of the 9 types. They're energetic, goal-driven, strives to be number 1, competitive, positive, upbeat. They also can become workaholics, with work being the first priority. The 4 expressor, they're the most expressive and emotional of the 9 types. They focus on being expressive and authentic. They are sensitive, compassionate, capable of emotional depth, in touch with their feelings. They are sensitive to beauty of the sensual, emotional, and intellectual, and they can have dramatic mood swings. The 5 contemplator, they're the most intellectual and introverted of the 9 types. They focus on knowledge and wisdom to get data and facts, and they're in their head a lot. They're calm, serene, solution-oriented, good listeners. And they're the most logical and the least emotional of types, and they can appear to be cool and unapproachable. The 6th questioner, most fearful, anxious, and questioning of the 9 types. They focus on safety and security. They feel they are the most realistic, able to act quickly. They're loyal, reliable, have a sharp sense of humor, very likable, are skeptical, worriers, and tend to be worst-case scenarios, and are known for pessimism. They say it's realism. The 7 optimister, they're the most unstructured of the 9 types. They focus on fun and freedom. They see life as an adventure. They're quick thinking, happy, open upon possibilities, spontaneous, always lots happening, going for new experiences. And they can be irresponsible and get sidetracked by whatever is fun. The 8 asserter is the most powerful and confident of the 9 types. They focus on strength, staying in control and being strong. They are direct, take charge, protective leaders, always on the go, willful, make things happen. And they can be dominating and controlling. And the 9 peace seeker. They are the most easygoing of the 9 types. They focus on peace, harmony, and avoiding conflict. They see all points of view. They like routine. They're natural negotiators. They go along to get along. They're not pushy or threatening. They're the nice, pleasing personalities. But rather than speak up, they use passive-aggressive behaviors. So I'm going to give you, besides the 3 reasons you sabotage your relationships, what are the 4 deadly sins in relationships? Well, number 1 are expectations. Expectations, we all have them. You should think like I do. What is important to me should be important to you. If you love me, you'd know what I need. Financial expectations, response expectations. So many of them. And without understanding the dynamics, we don't understand why people don't get what we need. And it is these uncommunicated and unnegotiated expectations that causes a lot of stress in our relationships. And number 2, people pleasing. As children, we wanted to please. That was the way to get the most love and attention. And these patterns are deeply rooted in beliefs, and they become unconscious. This is a very powerless behavior, and it sets up expectations. If I do what pleases you, you in turn will love me. And not necessarily so. So which of these personalities are most likely to be people pleasers? Well, the supportive personality, they like to please people. The 3 achiever personality, somewhat, because they like to be admired, so they will do some people pleasing. The expressors are more individualistic and they're more authentic, so they're not as much into people pleasing. The 1 perfectors, you need to follow the rules, so they're a little, they want you to please them more and respond to them. 5 contemplators, they are thinkers. They have the knowledge and data, and they're pretty independent in their thinking. Questioner, well, they might be somewhat people pleasers because they're looking for that security and assurance. Optimisters, most irresponsible before growth. They can be irresponsible, so often if it's a toss-up between fun and people pleasing, they probably go for the fun. The asserter, nope, they're leaders. My way or the highway. They don't tend to people please, but it's huge for the peace seekers. The peace seekers and the 2 supporters are the most that look at the people pleasing. Number 3 of the deadly sins, victim behavior and enabling. Victim energy is icky, sticky, and is one of the most powerful of energies. People who have been hurt want to rescue victims from their pain, keeping them trapped within the attention. See, they do this behavior and people respond to them. And we keep doing what we get attention for, even if it's negative behavior that we get attention for. And so that keeps you stuck. And for the victims, keeping stuck in your story is a choice. Using your story to grow, that's power and transformation. The fourth deadly sin, passive-aggressive behavior. Passive-aggressive behaviors are those that involve acting indirectly aggressive rather than directly aggressive. It's an avoidance of direct confrontation. Passive-aggressive people regularly exhibit resistance to requests or demands from family and other individuals, by procrastinating, expressing sullenness, acting stubborn, pouting, or misplacing important materials. They appear to go along, they don't speak up, so the other person thinks that, well, there's agreement there. So they go ahead and all of a sudden they're looking like, what happened to the peace seeker? Where are they? So other passive-aggressive, maybe the two supporters, when they don't feel loved and appreciated, can shut down and become passive-aggressive. 3 achievers, they're more direct with people who get in their way with, when they stand in the way of getting to their achievements. The expressor, they go more internalized. They do more of the dramatic thing. The perfecter, they're very direct with telling you what's wrong and how to fix it. Contemplators as well. They're not generally passive-aggressive. They can shut down if someone is too aggressive towards them. The questioner, not generally passive-aggressive. Well, they can be if they go into fear and worry. Optimisters, generally not. Asserter, generally not. They are the most direct and speak up, but the peace seeker is the personality that most identifies with passive-aggressive behavior. And I'm going to add a 5th one. Anger is another relationship deadly sin, and different personalities will express them differently. Supporters don't identify with anger. They're more hurt when something happens. It takes a lot for them to get angry. The achiever can get angry if you stand in your way of their success. The expressor may finally come to, it takes a lot for them to come to anger because, again, it's more they go into the depth of the emotion, feeling the emotion of rejection or whatever that is. The one perfecter, one of the base traits of them is anger. They get angry and express it very quickly. They can be very fiery. The 5 contemplator, again, generally will shut down. They don't like anger. They like to just give you knowledge and wisdom. Be logical people. Anger feels like an emotion. The 6 questioner, they can go into anger, but not as deep, or, they'll go into anger to get the security they need. 7 optimisters, they don't like pain. I'm not dealing with anger. I'm not dealing with pain. Life's fun. Asserter, they feel that anger is a natural trait. They express it. They believe it's a natural emotion. They're comfortable with it. But unfortunately, people aren't comfortable when they express it because they express it very strongly. And 9s will absolutely avoid anger at all costs because they're avoiding conflict. So again, reviewing the 3 reasons you sabotage your relationships. You don't understand what your partner needs. You're unaware of your personality patterns. And you don't understand your couple dynamics. So are you getting that you can see the differences in the personality? We really need to understand each other. See, relationships can be a great foundation for our happiness. They can also be a place where we lose our identity and our independence and the sense of ourselves, especially if we're in a relationship with a stronger personality that dominates, or we're a people pleaser. We play these roles when we haven't learned the development of our personality. And there are many values and boundaries that need to be negotiated. Understanding your 2 personalities and what you fundamentally emotionally need is vital in order to communicate and navigate your differences. When you are confident in who you are also more open to embrace your partner's different personality perspectives that can then enhance your life and experiences. The challenge is when both of you want to get your needs met at the same time. So learning the Enneagram has been life-changing for me. There's no behavior that surprises me anymore. I understand the healthy and unhealthy patterns of all 9 personalities. No matter what the situation, even when I'm triggered, I feel more in control. I feel empowered to speak up and get my needs met. Taught me how to do that. I know what my emotional needs are and can communicate them. Whereas before, I was doing behaviors where I didn't even know my own needs. I was more focused on other people's. These skills and tools help me to become more solution-based, and my life is very balanced, and rarely is there drama now. I work on letting go of outcome. This is a big one for me. I see things in patterns now, and I can see them and say, isn't that interesting? And letting go of outcome has really freed me from the need to be right, from the need for other people to be like me. It's given me a lot of skills and tools. I used to feel like I was clothes on a clothesline. My hands were attached, but my feet were flapping in the wind. And I was somebody for everybody. I'm strong in my foundation now. I'll tell you, that feels so great. As I shifted and changed, so did many of those around me. And so did a lot of the relationships. I didn't fit with a lot of people anymore. And then a lot of new people came in that I did fit with. And never before have I felt so calm and happy. Knowing your Enneagram personality is so important. It is the foundation for understanding how you think, feel, act, and react. It gives you a strong sense of self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, gives you great insights into all your patterns, your stress patterns. You can see yourself going into this pattern. And your stress pattern is one where it's like, whew, well, what, for 2 supportive, we stand up, we speak up, we're more direct, and then that doesn't feel like we're nice and nurturing and caring anymore. So then we go back to our home tight. But it gives us, you can recognize that pattern. Oh, that's a stress pattern. And sometimes that's a real benefit times. Our anger patterns, every personality has a different anger pattern, a different communication pattern, a different fear pattern, a different worry pattern. And so when you're in partnership with other people, whether at work or at home or in families, you start to understand their patterns, and you can head off some of these things. Hey, hon, I see you start to go into your pattern. Is there anything I can do to support you? What do you need? That changes the whole game when you have that awareness and can communicate like that. It helps you to understand other personalities so that you can understand, relate, and get along better with them. And it helps you solve conflicts for a more balanced life. Gives you great skills for parenting, leadership, and even your career currency, and skills and tools to deal with all your relationships. Most importantly, it helps you get love the way you need. So, you need to become aware with your own behaviors when you are out of balance and over the top, and specifically how to bring them back into awareness and your impact on your partner. See, relationships need to be like teeter-totters. You need to work together. And, when I was young, the teeter-totter boards were like really, really long. So when you sat down and someone pushed you up in the air and you were little, you were a long ways up in the air. And you had to figure out, like, can you trust this person? Are they going to jump off and you're going to come crashing to the ground? Or are they going to hold you up and support you? And then they push off and they go up in the air and you hold them up and you go back and forth in your relationships. And that's how relationships work. Sometimes the attention needs to be on you. Sometimes the attention needs to be on the other one. And when they're balanced and you're looking together and you're working together, that's when life's really juicy. Change your patterns, change your life. But in order to do that, you need to do the work. Your life right now is as you designed it. Not what happened to you, but what you do about it. And the outcome will be from the decisions and choices you have made or not made. Because not making a choice is a decision. And often it's a decision for failure. See, happiness is an inside job. And that's what's so unique about the Enneagram, is it shows us the path of development for each of us. What we need to do to understand ourselves to the depth of our being, to accept all the pieces of our parts and bring them into wholeness, to love ourselves unconditionally, and then to turn that love out in compassion for other people. Happiness is when you know what your fundamental core emotional needs are, you know your value in the world, and you know how to become the person you're meant to be. Let's see if this will play. What each of us is looking for is to be seen, heard, and valued for who we are and the unique gifts we each bring to relationships. Whether we are conscious of this or not, we are looking for a heart-to-heart loving connection. To create this connection in couple dynamics, we need to understand our own personality, fundamental core emotional need in order to feel loved and allow others to love us. And we need to know this about our partner too. Then we can support each other with our insecurities and have common knowledge to help each other grow. It takes conscious awareness and choosing to stay present in the connection. Most importantly is incorporating the behaviors specific to your personality type that will help you become the best person you can be and get loved the way you need. It is so life-changing when you understand that. You know, whether it's parents and kids or partners, or it is so empowering to learn this. To have a relationship at a deep connected level, that can be you. That can be both of you. And what would it feel like to have that deep sense of trust and security? This can be you. I was so excited about learning this information and the research I did, especially on the couple dynamics, because there's not a lot of information of putting it together. And because I struggled for so many years, I didn't want you to struggle the way I did. And so I've honed my speaking skills and I'm continually sending out relationship information. And you know, I learned that's aligned with my personality, a 2 supporter. I'm committed to helping others. I've spoken at the Enneagram conference, which was a real honor for me in Toronto a number of years ago. I speak at conventions. I do interviews. I want to get this information out there to people. In a very quick period of time, you can turn around relationships. So my third gift for you is I have a Facebook group, and it's called Answering Relationship Mysteries. And hop in there. There's lots of information and videos, and I'm always adding to it. You can ask me questions in there. So there's a link in the email you're going to get about that as well. Here's a recap of the gifts that you got. There's going to be a downloadable ebook, Creating Conscious, Connected, Loving Relationships. There's the information on the 9 personality types, their partner styles and strengths. The personality quiz is there, Facebook answering. So are you at a point? Are you ready to take advantage of this life-changing opportunity? I'm offering you a discovery call. Hop on this call. I want to help you. I'm not going to give you a big sell. We're going to get on there. We're going to figure out what it is what's happening, why it's happening. I can give you insights to yourself. And people will say, when they describe a partner or something, it's like reading their biography. Like, how do you know so much about them? Or how do you know that's how they react? Personalities are just patterns of behavior. This is a well-researched model that I use as the basis of my helping you understand yourself. We get in there and we figure out what's going on. What do you need? What tools can I bring? We'll have a look at that. And it will be life-changing if you're ready. If I see so many people who just stay stuck in that inaction, they stay there. My partner needs to do this. I'm in a large social group. Lots of people break up, and then you see them try and come back together again, and there's this chronic unhappiness, and it's like they've got this blindfold on. We don't know how to be happy. We don't know how to put it together. And that's what my passion is. My passion is to help you, and I've got resources. So book a call. You're going to be getting an email. Jump on that quick. Let's get you booked, get you moving forward. And I'll just tell you how I can help you, and you can then decide what would be beneficial for you, what you want to do about it. Take action, because life is about choices. And you can either choose to take action or you can stay where you are. You can choose to feel being a victim, or you can move forward. I'm so grateful that's what I did. People who know me now from where they say you're so different from what you used to be. You seem light and happy, and I am. And you can be too. So whatever relationship challenge you currently have, hop on that call. So thank you so much for allowing me to be on this call with you, sending out this information. I highly recommend that. Let's get talking and get you moving forward.